Josh Elledge. More sales than you want? Episode 77 on Kelly Bagla's Go Legal Yourself podcast.
Welcome to the Go Legal Yourself podcast. This show is about knowing the legal life cycle of your business. Welcome to the Go Legal Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Attorney Kelly Bagla, the Queen of Business Law. And today's episode is titled, More Sales, Anyone? Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Josh Elledge. Josh is the CEO of Up My Influence, a full-service PR firm. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Hey, thank you so much, Kelly.
How are you?
Good. You know, and it's interesting, though. Apparently, I need to rewrite my bio and I love this because I think especially this year, I remember seeing a study that it was like the U.S. Small Business Association or someone like that did about 2020 being such a huge year for businesses adapting to meet the new needs of the economy and what's going on in our new world here. And Up My Influence is one where last year that's all we did was media. Like I've done tons of media, so we help our clients get lots of media coverage. But, you know, as relative to the title of this episode today, believe it or not, we are now 95% focused on solving the problem that the clients have when they say, advertising is not working like it did last year. There are no events. How can you help me fix this problem? And so listening to our own clients, we said, well, actually, I have a few ideas on how we can help solve this problem. And I love that. That just makes me feel so great about the business community and entrepreneurs and founders where we're rising to the challenge of unmet needs, regardless if you believe the government is going to solve your problems. It probably won't.
About it. No. I'm excited again to really have you on the show, Josh, because you are going to be a huge asset for all of the folks that are listening to the show. By the way, Josh, my podcast, the Go Legal Yourself podcast, has actually been ranked in the top 20 when it comes to your podcasts.
Yes,
I
believe it because
I'll accept a round of applause now. Thank you.
Yes, you've well earned, well deserved. And again, that fits so well with what I hear. You know, again, one thing I'm seeing, a lot of businesses are becoming much more conservative and protective, right? Because we're in unsteady waters. It's good because there's a lot of waves going up and some going down in the economy and different sectors and different industries. But one thing that's really critical, Kelly, and that goes hand in hand with the service that you provide as well, is we need to pay attention to our threats. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But before we get into this, because there's so much that I want to explore with you today on the show, do you have a joke for the audience?
Yes. Yeah. Sure.
Share the joke with us.
Dad joke. Yeah. So where does the president of the United States keep this is a good election joke too. Where does he keep his armies?
I know the joke, but go ahead. Share it with us.
In his sleeveys.
I love that joke. Honestly, I remember.
Oh, I got one more. I got one more. This is another favorite dad joke I've got. And this really comes from my fear of elevators. And it's something that I've really discovered about myself. So I'm taking steps to avoid them.
Right. There you go. Exactly.
That's one of the jokes. Oh, he told the joke.
I know. Oh, how fun. We better stop while you're ahead, right? With the jokes. Josh, tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey, and then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of marketing, because that's like a massive elephant in the room that no one knows how to tackle. So what's your background?
Right. So out of high school, it was a small town, West Michigan. I joined the United States Navy for 5 years. I was a Navy journalist. I got to do 5 years of TV doing TV news stories for the United States Navy. I would do the story in the Hawaiian Islands, and then they would get shipped all over the world. And we'd update, here's what the Navy's doing in Hawaii. Pearl Harbor was where I was based. And then I had my last year in the Navy, I was actually a DJ where I did the radio station for ADAC Alaska. And so then I got to do that. And I actually met Adrian Cronauer, the real Adrian Cronauer from Good Morning Vietnam, the one that Robin Williams is based on, right, and really inspired me because he's a big fan of serving the audience. And the audience is, in terms of the chain of command, nothing trumps the audience. And that is, of course, how he got himself in a little bit of trouble here, kind of when he was being censored all the time. He was like, nah, this isn't right. There are consequences to me not being forthright with my audience. So one thing that I think that I've really worked hard to do is just to be insanely authentic with the audience. And whether that's my fears, concerns, insecurities, or delivering value. And so when I speak or when I'm on, an appear, it's like I ask myself the question, how can I deliver the absolute most value in this segment? And I don't care about the sales, whatever. If your value is good enough, people are smart. They know how to find me on the internet.
Right.
So I would rather just deliver a lot of actionable tips or suggestions or wisdom or experience in a way where people would say, I got to find this Josh guy because I feel like he could probably help me solve this one problem.
Right.
You asked me about my business history. I just told you about my middle. So from there, I studied family science in college because I wanted to become a love doctor on the radio. That didn't pan out. So instead, I got into internet development and then started a string of businesses that failed. I failed in business 6 times. And then in my 7th business venture, became a millionaire. And that was with my other company, Savings Angel, where I would help consumers cut their grocery bill in half. And I became a media personality. And I've done over 700 TV segments alone. I've had a syndicated column for over 11 years. And out of that, became good at getting in the media. That then led to up my influence. So a lot of my businesses really came from recognizing a need. Can I help with this? And it's almost like that quote, right? I forget who says that. If not me, who? If not now, when? That's really what's led me to do, even this year. Like I'm not known for sales, but I guess the universe has put me in a position where I can help with this.
Well, you obviously come with a lot of credibility, especially the 6 failed businesses. It will literally take someone to understand the failure of the business in order for them to be successful too. And that's a question that I ask all of my guests, and I will ask you later. But let's return to that big elephant in the room, right? I personally love elephants, dogs and elephants. I always have, Josh, always have, right? So there's a saying, how do you eat an elephant?
Yes, one bite at a time.
One bite at a time. Know exactly. And that's how we're going to address marketing. So besides the legal aspect of running a business and besides the tax aspect of running a business, those two are huge. The other one, without marketing, who's going to find you? How are you going to be found? I know for a fact that people are looking for Go Legal Yourself services. That I know is guaranteed. But how do they know that I exist, Josh? So talk to me about marketing. Let's start off with a small business that is incorporated and they're actually at the precipice of just taking off, but they need sales to come in.
So the question is like just getting started. What do you do?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, a lot of this, it has to do with, are you mass marketing to consumers, or is your sales does it ultimately depend on relationships? And even if you don't think that it has to do with relationships, I'm going to challenge you on that because I believe sales and marketing is 100% all about relationships.
Absolutely.
So either that is a one-to-many relationship in the case of generally when you're marketing into a consumer product, and I've done that, and it's a lot of work. And so then at that point, you really have to communicate using media, whether that's social media or writing content or video content or whatever it is, to my friends who are selling B2B. It's almost always going to be relationship focused. And that's where I think I really excel at is that relationship first marketing. And so if I genuinely like somebody and we genuinely, like, we hit it off and there's trust there and we just get on, we are going to find a way to work together. If two people like each other, like, we'll take that relationship to the next level. And so, and I know we've all experienced this. You've gone to an event back when we could.
Exactly. Many years ago.
Like, yeah, Kelly, imagine like you and I meet at a networking event and we're like, what do you do? What do you do? Wow. Let's grab some time next week and see if it makes sense for us to work together. I don't know that I need legal services, but I'd like to learn your approach to it. And sure enough, just a little behind the scenes, I did learn what your services are. And I freaking love how you provide your services. I looked through your menu and I'm like, Kelly, I need all of this. This is great.
Right.
So that's the kind of thing that happens. And just, it's like being open. It's more about being a great networker and how can I bring value to every relationship? Not everybody needs your product or service. This is why I tell people, it's like, almost if you're doing this right and you're leading with this generosity, no is almost never a no. It's a not me or a not now. Right. And those not me's and not nows can lead to, this is who I want to serve. This is what I want to do. And then most people, if they start thinking like, I probably know someone that could value, let me make an intro. And so here's the thing, and this is really important. You can't really rush relationships. They just are what they are. Now, it's a fun fact about me. I've been married for 25 years now, and my wife and I got engaged after knowing each other 20 days. So I should say there are some caveats to that. See, we were in the Hawaiian Islands. It was just, picture perfect, like romantic, like straight out of a bodice ripper book. It was just like truly got whisked away and just love. But other than that, in most cases, you can't really rush relationships. However, Kelly, you can develop processes and systems on the back end to facilitate a lot of relationships. I think most people will admit, Josh, we're just not talking to enough people. And especially if you can answer this question in the affirmative, if I ask you, where do your absolute best customers come from? Most people in the B2B world will tell you natural, authentic, organic relationships, networking, referrals, introductions. So that should give us a clue that we need to really emphasize a lot of effort there to facilitate a lot more of that. So a lot of us, and there are bad marketing gurus out there who will just say, they're just all into this artificial numbers game, automation, AI, bots, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that doesn't work. I'm just not very good at getting that to work, but fundamentally and philosophically, I'm opposed to it. So again, if you put relationships first, your worst case scenario is you're going to build 200, 300 relationships with people that really genuinely like you. Good stuff is going to happen for you. In fact, I would argue that if you can get to a point where 2, 3, 4, 500 people know who you are, love what you do, and are talking about you on a regular basis, I would argue it's game, set, match, especially if you're a professional service provider, consultant, coach, that sort of thing. You cannot help but be successful if that's what you have.
Josh, I absolutely love your approach to how you help business owners. And I have done multiple shows based on creating professional relationships. There's personal relationships. There are professional relationships. There are relationships with a referral partner, but it's all based on relationships. And people like to buy from people they like.
Oh my gosh, totally.
It happens all the time.
Owns a landscaping company, and I got to know each other, and I'm like, why don't I hire you? She goes, well, we're more expensive. And I said, I don't care.
Right.
Like, I like you. Like, I would rather pay more to people that I love working with because I know they're there for me. And we love that. Yeah. Could I save 20, 30 bucks a month by hiring somebody else? Yeah, sure. But I don't know. I remember one time I was walking my dog around the block, and we have our lawn care. And then there's like in Florida, you got people that cut your grass, and then there's people that treat your grass. and they got to do the chemicals and all that other stuff. And I didn't like our company, but I'm like, I saw these other guys. I'm like, what could they do to win my business? And this is how easy this is. And again, salespeople, marketers, listen up and I think you're going to empathize with, yeah, that would work. Well, why can't we do something like that? If someone came to my door or saw me and said, hey, I'm sorry, I'm probably not supposed to be soliciting, but I saw a patch of weeds or whatever growth on your lawn. And do you mind if I'd be happy to treat that for free? Because it's super easy. I've got this chemical that'll take care of that right away. And if you want to come take a look, I'll show you a couple of other things that I noticed. And again, you don't have to hire me. I'm just happy to do this. I am a lawn geek.
Right. It's that giving mentality.
Guy,
exactly.
Right? Yeah. And they're like, look, this is totally pro bono. It's just because I'm doing your neighbor's yard, and I just happen to be walking by and I love geeking out on lawn stuff. And so now it's that enthusiasm. And the guy's is he there because he wants to make, well, yeah, probably, but he doesn't really care about that. He's not pushing that. It's all about just doing good in the world. And like, I'm passionate about this thing. And we also, Kelly, we want to hire people who like totally geek out on what they do. Like for us, there's things that we totally geek out on. And so my clients love that because they're like, I don't have to worry about that because I know you obsess on this stuff and improving this part of my business. Exactly. I want that. I want a social media person that that's all. They're like, oh, hey, Josh, oh my gosh, we just saw this one thing is so cool. Do you think that we could, I want that. I want that in my life. But
fantastic.
Yeah, that's what works today.
I have to share a story, right? An actual example of what you're talking about right now. It's that personal touch that somebody brings to the table. So I am obviously marketing, because without marketing, I think business owners are just shooting themselves in the foot. You're not going to get business at all.
No. Yes. Critical.
I am actually marketing through a company called iHeartRadio. I'm giving them a huge shout out right now, right? So iHeartRadio, and the relationship is quite new, but I am absolutely loving the fact that they are constantly in touch with me, Josh.
Oh, good.
Fancy someone being responsible for what you hire them to do, right? So on a weekly basis, I get an update, and then probably every couple of weeks or so, I have a Zoom call with them, and they're asking me, how am I doing? What's something new that they could introduce that could help with the marketing? But absolutely fantastic marketing firm, right? iHeartRadio. But right now, I'm just going to take probably 30 seconds to recognize our sponsor, because we do have sponsors on the show. And our sponsor is Bagla Law Firm. It's a trusted name in business law, providing legal solutions to entrepreneurs. So thank you, sponsor. Our sponsor is Bagla Law Firm. Now, Josh, going back to the mistakes that you've made, share at least 2 top mistakes that you have made that caused failure, and then share with us what you changed that caused the success part.
Yeah. And I bet that because you generally interview very successful people. And I find that successful people, you can ask them that question like, oh yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I've got some doozies. And they have no qualms about sharing that. Whereas I think maybe earlier stage businesses just haven't had that. Listen, if you're in the game, you are going to make a lot of mistakes, and that's okay, because that's how we learn. We want to surround ourselves with experts so that we don't have to make, like, for example, Kelly, hiring Bagla Law Firm. Like I can vouch for what you do. It absolutely keeps businesses in business, because anyway, we could talk about, but if you're not protecting yourself legally, like if you don't have a good contract with your contractors, with your employees, with your clients, it's about clarity. It's about understanding, because we don't want mistakes in understanding, because that makes it uncomfortable. Like, I thought you said this. No. It's, so Kelly, that's a simple one. Right. That just protecting yourself legally is a no-brainer. I've been an advocate for that, by the way, for 16 plus years. I've seen the value of, like, listen, you just got to cross your T's, dot your I's, because that is going to help just keep everybody understanding everything. Okay. My big mistake, I could tell you, like, one of my biggest mistakes was one of my failed businesses was a small town newspaper and a blog before there was actually such things as blogs. Which a newspaper is a horrible business to start. Even in the late 90s when I started it, terrible business. But one thing, and especially if you had the stinking thinking that I did, I was afraid of sales because I was afraid of rejection. Right. I was also afraid because my understanding of sales was that it was about convincing people of things. And because of that fear of them rejecting me, of rejecting the thing that I would offer, I would take that as a rejection of me. And that fear kept me broke. It really, really did. So I would try to outsource sales as best as I could because I was just so afraid of it. When I come to find out that sales has nothing to do with convincing people of stuff. It's about bringing value to people. If it makes sense to them and there's a need there, cool. If not, that's fine. It's just, hey, I'm really good at digging holes. Do you have any holes that need to be dug? Most people probably don't have a hole that needs to be dug. And that's okay. It's just like, because all you're doing is amateurs convince, leaders sort. Now, I don't want to say sort in that, oh, next. It's not that, right? It's like, listen, it's my life's goal to make people's lawns look amazing. Like, it brings me so much joy. This is why God put me on the earth, right? The universe has put me here, is to make people's lawns brilliantly green. And so maybe you can help me in my quest to do this, right? And if not them, maybe they can connect you with someone. I don't know. This kid's like way too crazy about making lawns green, but it's that kind of thing. If you have that attitude, you'll enroll people into your passion. But that's what we want. So yeah, in my case, again, I had to go through that journey of failure. And then it was, my next job was actually marketing for a network of law firms. And that 5 years.
I'm sorry, Josh.
Yeah, I know. But it was good because it threw me into the deep end and it put me in the fire. And like, I had to get good at it. And I went through, thankfully I was in an environment where I got a lot of great training on it. I got to experience failure on a daily basis. And that's another thing, right? Is, in baseball, I'm not a good baseball. I'm still not. I'm a horrible baseball player. But if you're afraid of getting hit by the ball, all you really need to do is just get 500 balls thrown at you. And eventually you're not going to be afraid of that anymore because you're like, okay, well, it happens once in a while, but whatever. I rub some dirt in it and then I move on. Like, you've survived. Like, you're afraid of needles. No, unless you have a true phobia around it. I suspect just getting 100 or so shots, you're probably not going to be as afraid of needles anymore because you're like, okay, it happened. I didn't die. So it's probably gonna be all right. It's public speaking.
That's a big one.
Yeah. Being a podcast host. If you go back and listen to, I've done 1,000 podcast episodes. If you go listen to my first episode of the Savings Angel show, it's bad. It's really bad. Like, I'm uncomfortable. And you could go back and listen to almost any episode 1 of any podcast host you can think of, and they're usually pretty bad.
Right.
But you just keep on showing up. You keep on doing the thing and you expand your comfort zone.
That's fantastic. How did you flip around your failure into success?
I just had to keep on failing. And it's a shift in focus. What's the outcome here? Is the yes, I want this business. Yes, I need to make the sale. Yes, I need the commission, whatever it is. Like, you got to get around that. Like, when you wake up in the morning, and this is mindset stuff, right? When you wake up in the morning and your first thought is, who am I going to sell to? That's a tough way to run a business. When you wake up in the morning and you say, who do I get to bring value to? Who do I get to serve? And that's the most important thing. The natural outcome of that will be sales. But if you focus on the sales and you focus on the commission, it's going to mess you up. It's going to be psychologically damaging to try to live like that every day. And this is another thing, is people can smell it a mile away. If you are focused about what's in it for you, you can't fool people. I could talk about this, 13 years of studying and teaching consumer behavior. Consumers can spot a phony a mile away.
Right.
And if you think that you can be, on social media and sell your thing on social media and people people know what you're doing. You're not fooling them.
Right.
So you may as well just be very authentic about it and just let people know, call the elephant out in the room. It is what it is. And this is my business. This is what I do. But think about it from how can you bring value to the audience? How can you bring value to the other person first? Make it all about them. And then if they like you, they'll do business with you.
Josh, that was such invaluable advice that you just shared with the audience, with the friends that are listening, right? The folks that are listening.
Yes.
Now, I have to ask you, and thank you for that, because it really gives someone food for thought. People are struggling, especially during the pandemic time, right? People are struggling, and especially afterwards too, because now some of them, they have to start to rebuild. So how do they shift their focus? And I think that's brilliant. Focus on who can you serve? When you wake up the next morning, who can you serve? I love that. Thank you for that. But last question for you, Josh. I mean, you and I, we can chat for days, right? We can chat for days, but last question for you is, if you had to do it all over again, what would you change?
So I wish that I knew what I knew today. It's almost like youth is wasted on the young, right? But that's not the way that it works, because what I know today is based on the experience that I have today. So it's really hard for me to go back. But if I were to go back in time, say 20 years ago, when I started really, when I left corporate America 20 years ago, I would tell myself, listen, you're going to fail, and that's okay. Because that was very stressful. It sucks when you go through personal bankruptcy and you have failed businesses and you lose a home to foreclosure. It really sucks going through that experience. That toughened me up, though. That made me who I am today. So it's almost like, you can find people in your life, in your past, to blame. But if you're going to blame them elegantly. Tony Robbins talks about that. If my dad was tough on me because he instilled in me a work ethic, though. And because of that work ethic, it made me who I am today. And I love who I am today because of that crucible that I had to go through. So the biggest thing, some people will hear what I'm saying and they're going to agree with me intellectually. Like, yes, I agree. I think Josh makes good points, right? And they'll say, yes, that probably makes sense, but they won't live it. Like they'll understand it intellectually. And then there are people that are hearing what I'm saying and they know in their heart what he's talking about is absolutely the facts. About sales is all about service and giving and generosity and leading by bringing value to other people first. And when you live that, your life will completely change. Business will become easy. So many of us in sales and marketing are reaching out and we're just being sloppy. We're reaching out and we're like, hey, would you like to have a discussion about your IT services and how we can save you 11.5%? Oh, come on, please.
Exactly.
I'm never going to respond to that. So if you're doing that, number one, stop, and they're relying on a spammy approach to business. Instead, what value can you bring first? And what's truly valuable to someone? If you're reaching out cold, you better have a really good opening line, right? It's like, the dating metaphor works so well with this. And so many people are just running around saying, you want to get married? You want to get married? You want to get married? Marrying me could be really great. And it's,
oh my God, Josh, that is so true.
Yeah. So instead, think about like, if you're really good at initiating and building a relationship, it's that same thing. That's what you want to be able to do. So if you're courting somebody, or you're going to be very generous with your attention, eventually your affection, but you want them to feel like it's so fun to be around you. I feel better about myself. I love me when I'm with you. I love this energy that we have, right? That is someone who I think is very skilled and gifted in the art of relationships. And so we could think about that from a romantic standpoint and also from a business standpoint. It's the same thing. It really, really is. And that's who you want to become. Even though we do live in a swipe left, swipe right world, to just like, oh, I'm just going to broadcast it to everybody that I'm looking for a wife. Good luck with that. And you have to think of like, well, who would respond positively to that? And so it's like marketing. It's like, we're going to do this webinar approach and we want to attract C-level executives from 8-figure companies or 7-figure companies. Good luck. I can tell you right now, they don't sit through webinars. They don't have time. I don't sit through webinars. Like, I appreciate that someone's doing webinars. I believe it has a place in marketing, but you have to be honest with who your people are and what are they truly willing to do. And so I don't sit through webinars. I don't read white papers unless it's something I really, really, really want to know. So what can you give me that's going to be like wow, okay, cool. Yeah, I'd love to do that. That's what you should be giving away. Earn that trust, earn that attention, and earn that relationship. And if you can do that, you've unlocked the key, and growing and scaling your business will be the easiest thing on the planet for you.
Josh, that was some brilliant, brilliant advice that you've just given everyone, our folks that are listening. They're very, very attentive. In fact, the podcast is an international podcast as well, Josh. And I know once the folks will listen to your episode, they are going to want to reach out to you. Mm-hmm. And we have all of your information as part of our show notes. Is there any particular way you want the audience to reach out to you?
Yeah, one need that we have is as well, like, I love podcasts. I love the platform of podcasting. We host a daily podcast, The Thoughtful Entrepreneur. If you are a thoughtful entrepreneur and you're doing 6 figures or more in business, like, you have some experience behind you, you've grown and scaled businesses, because that's what we focus on, kind of that intersection of thoughtfulness and what did you do? How did that thoughtfulness propel you in your business? Then you could go to upmyinfluence.com and you'll see where we're booking guests. I learned so much, Kelly. Now, I've done over 500 interviews. Who I am today is impacted in such a big way. I mean, it's entirely impacted by the people that I surround myself with. And, the fact that I get to hear those stories and learn from you. I know that there's someone listening to this interview right now that I cannot wait to meet you, because I want to ask you questions. I want to learn from you. Or Jen, my co-host, she'll want to learn from you as well. So please do go to upmyinfluence.com. And, if you fit that qualification, and we would love to feature you on our podcast.
Fantastic. Thank you so much again, Josh, for being a brilliant guest of Go Legal Yourself. And people can listen to the show. They can simply go to golegalyourselfpodcast.com or anywhere where they listen to podcasts. Make sure you leave us your feedback, give us some comments. I'll be happy to address these comments and questions on upcoming shows. And remember, folks, the only way you become successful is if you make today the day you go legal yourself. I am attorney Kelly Bagla, the Queen of Business Law, and it's been my pleasure being your host today. Until next time, cheers to your success.
Produced by Heard Not Seen Media. Visit imaginepodcasting.com for more information.